Okay. Hello, Irv Lubliner.
Hello, Laura.
This is Laura Simons, and I'm OLLI Council President, and I'm delighted to spend a few minutes here talking with the multi-talented volunteer at OLLI at SOU, Irv Lubliner. I'm going to let Irv tell you all the things that he's done at OLLI, and do his own self-introduction. But first, how long have you been a member and how long an OLLI volunteer?
Well, I became a member in 2015. I finished my 40-year career as a teacher with 9 years at SOU, and I retired from SOU at the end of 2014 and took a few months of just not doing any volunteering, not taking any classes, just resting from the 40 years of grading papers and such. But I knew I wanted to keep teaching. So in the fall of 2015, I started teaching, starting with my beginning blues harmonica class, which was a big hit. And since then, I've been teaching math classes. I've been teaching a literature class about a book that I published of my mother's writings about the Holocaust. And then in 2016, I was asked to join the curriculum committee, and I was honored to be asked to contribute to a program that was contributing so much to me. I was just thoroughly enjoying the teaching experience and the learning experience as one who wanted to continue as a lifelong learner. So I didn't flinch when I was asked to come on the curriculum committee. I said yes to that. And then a few years later, 2018, it was suggested to me, why don't you run for the council? So I did a 3-year stint on the council as well and served as treasurer for 2 of those 3 years. And more recently, I've done a lot of presenting for other OLLIs around the country. And so that's another form of volunteer work, though not specifically for OLLI at SOU, but I do continue to try to contribute to other OLLIs elsewhere.
What motivated you to become an OLLI volunteer extraordinaire?
Well, I really felt like this is a program that's making a difference in my life. I knew it was making a difference in the community. I could just see the way people connected with each other at OLLI. I could see how people were stimulating themselves. As a teacher, I saw how I was providing that stimulation for other people. And there's a joy in learning and there's a joy in teaching. And so there was so much positive coming to me as a result of this program. I felt like I wanted to give something back. I wanted to know that I was contributing in some way to help sustain and, if possible, improve an already wonderful program.
It's great that you wanted to give something back because I know everybody's enjoying receiving it.
Well, it's a joy for me.
Good.
It's a joy for
Why
me.
don't you share with us your interest in teaching courses in other OLLIs across the country? You just mentioned that as one of the latest volunteer activities with OLLI. So
Yeah.
tell us all about that.
Well, I was teaching a 4-week class about my mother's book about the Holocaust called The Holocaust Through the Eyes of a Survivor. And then the pandemic hit. And all the OLLIs nationwide, including ours, was scrambling for online content. Can we get instructors who had been teaching in the classroom to come and teach for us online, even if they don't live nearby? Because if you're teaching online, it doesn't really matter where you're located. And so I was asked to do first just a one-shot presentation about my mother's book for our OLLI. And then I was speaking to our program director at the time, Rob Casserly, who was asking me, Irv, do you know any people who live outside this area who could teach for us? And I was on the council at that time. So I was trying to help brainstorm in every way I could to keep this program afloat while a lot of members were shying away from online learning. And when he mentioned the possibility of getting people from outside this area to teach for us, bells started to ring in my brain, and I said, Rob, how do you think it would go over for me to offer my program to other OLLIs nationwide? And he said, I think that would be great. And so he put something up on Basecamp, which is a messaging board that all the OLLI directors nationwide share information through. And then it just took off, and there was tremendous interest in it. I've now given, I think, 142 presentations for 86 different OLLI programs nationwide. About half of them have asked me to repeat it. One or two have asked me to repeat it as much as 4 times now. And a lot of word of mouth has caused one OLLI member one OLLI president or curriculum committee chair to mention it to somebody at a different OLLI. And so I'm just delighted that out of 124 OLLIs nationwide, I've gotten to speak for 86 of them, and it continues. I did 2 of them this past week. And I mean, another thing I'm very passionate about is sharing my mother's writing. So it has given me the opportunity to share as if I was going on a book tour, but I don't have to go anywhere but this chair I'm sitting in right now, and I'm reaching hundreds of people. So it's a joy and a passion of mine to be doing this. And who better than OLLI members nationwide to be speaking to? Because it's just it's a group of people who want to learn and absorb information and then give back as we discuss things. So it's an engaged group, it's an interesting group, and they often pass on resources to me that are going to be valuable to me in my continuing work as an educator, and specifically in that regard as a Holocaust educator. So I'm constantly having people suggest books, videos, people I should talk to, etc. So it's been a giving, but it's also been a receiving for me.
So how about your math courses? Have you taught those across the country yet?
No, there's been some interest. I've been asked if I would do that for other OLLIs, but I kind of feel like I'd be spreading myself too thin. I did teach a multi-session version of the Holocaust-related class that I've done for our OLLI. I did that for the national OLLI as part of a pilot program of something they call OLLI Online, where I was teaching to people at one given moment. I'm reaching people in the Pacific time zone, the Mountain time zone, the Central time zone, and the Eastern time zone, and had groups, different OLLI groups around the country, all logging in simultaneously to take my class. So I did that as a 6-session class. But in general, when always say, "Oh, Irv, will you teach a multi-session class for us?" I just say, "No, that's something I'll continue to do for OLLI at SOU." And I'd be spreading myself too thin if I just keep saying yes, yes, yes to other OLLIs. So what they're getting from me is a 1-session presentation, and that's been very well received. And I'm just so happy the number of OLLIs that have asked me to do it, have asked me to repeat it. And it's been a really good experience for me.
I applaud you for knowing your limits and drawing a line there, because it's really hard to avoid getting spread thin. Good for
Well,
you.
along the same lines, Laura, as since we're talking about volunteerism,
Yep.
when I was talking to people about coming onto the curriculum committee, and then a couple of years later, when I was talking to people about joining the OLLI Council, um, one of the concerns I expressed is I don't want it to take me away from teaching. For me, the greatest joy at OLLI is the teaching. I feel like I'm a lifelong teacher as well as a lifelong learner. And if I couldn't continue to teach, I didn't want to go on the curriculum committee. I didn't want to go onto the council.
Mm.
And I was assured, yes, these are time commitments, but people in the past have made it work to take classes, to teach classes while doing these volunteer service stints. And I said yes, and I'm so glad that I did. And I did continue to teach, and I did continue to find time to take classes. And I enjoyed the volunteer work because I met wonderful people and felt like we were making a difference together.
So is there something that stands out as a high point in your volunteer time here with OLLI?
I think what stands out for me is the work that I did when I was on the curriculum committee. And that's not to say I don't feel like I did good work or that it wasn't important work that I did while serving on the OLLI Council. But I think that my skill set as one who had during my years at SOU, I was supervising student teachers, and I would go in and watch them teach, and I would give them feedback and have sessions with them afterwards about, well, what did you think of your own lesson, and how can we work on improving it? I was doing the same kinds of things with new OLLI instructors and helping people who were considering, I think I might have a class here. Can I chat with you about whether you think I have enough that it would constitute an OLLI course. So talking to people about things that were percolating in their minds that might make a course, how to write a course proposal or a catalog description, for me to visit their first lesson as a new to OLLI instructor and then engage them in a conversation about what went well, what didn't do so well. It just seemed it was very much in keeping with my skill set. And so, given the 40 years that I spent in the classroom, to have my focus be specifically on the teaching that goes on at OLLI, as opposed to work as treasurer, which is important, but it's really keeping track of dollars and cents, and it's not so much about what's going on in the classroom. And so the curriculum committee allowed me to focus on what I think I do best, which is teach and help others get the most out of their teaching.
I think that's a great answer because it really highlights how each of us, even though we may not think so, we each have some kind of skill or talent that Ollie could benefit from. And I think that's a really good point.
Yeah, I really encourage people to think about what there's various committees, and you choose a committee based on what you think you might be able to contribute. And so if your thing is not education, there are other ways to contribute. And if your thing is education, the curriculum committee might be a good fit. But I make this pitch, I mentioned to you the other day, I make this pitch in every class I teach, which is if all you're doing is being a student, we value your presence here, but there are other ways that you can be an OLLI member by contributing in some way to the various committees. So I always make a pitch to people to do that and try to let them know how much it's meant to me to do that.
What an ambassador you've become. I
I
love
try.
it.
I try to be an ambassador and a cheerleader. I used to have a business card that said mathematics enthusiast. And so, in fact, there was an OLLI annual meeting one year when about 8 of us who were in the improv class, we wore cheerleader outfits and we were cheerleading for OLLI at the annual meeting. So whether it's at that event or year round, I am a cheerleader for OLLI.
Yeah, funny you mentioned that picture. I've seen it. It's very cute. I have
Yeah.
a hunch. I know what your answer is going to be, but what keeps you volunteering with Ollie?
Well, I want to give something back. I know this program is valuable to me, and I know this program is valuable to our community. And I feel like I can do little things here and there to pitch in. And I mean, admittedly, now that I'm doing so many presentations for other OLLIs around the country, I don't have as much time to volunteer within our own program, but I still make it a point to make sure I teach a few classes a year. I still try to pitch in here and there when I hear a volunteer is needed for some event. I try to show up for that event and say, okay, I'm here. How can I help? And I think at some point I will get back on a committee. I don't know which one it will be, but I think at some point I will say, okay, my presentations nationwide have kind of subsided a bit, and I'm finding myself with more free time. So I'm ready to serve in an even greater capacity. But for now, it's just little things here and there and teaching several courses a year.
We welcome you back in any role. So, what would you tell an Ollie member what volunteering could do for them?
Well, the tagline for OLLI is come for the classes, stay for the connections. I have connected with really wonderful people through going beyond teaching and stepping forward and say, what can I do to be part of a team effort to improve an already strong program and to help meet challenges? I mean, I was on the OLLI Council when we were hit with a pandemic and the need to go online. And to face that challenge, we developed our own kind of tagline, which was we're going to come out of this with a strong online program, which we've never had before, as well as getting back to having a strong in-person program. And I'm pleased to say we now have both. I know the balance shifts from quarter to quarter, but I mean, the fact is we do have online courses and we do have in-person courses, and we do have people teaching from far away, and we have people taking classes from far away. So in a sense, we made lemons out of lemonade. So for me, to have been there through that process and say, we have an already strong program, but we are facing some challenges. It's not always going to be a pandemic, but OLLI will continue to face challenges, and to be part of the team that says we can meet those challenges and we're going to work together and we're going to celebrate our accomplishments. And so we socialized together during the pandemic. We socialized like this on Zoom. Uh, but we were a cohesive group, and we knew that we were working together to do the right thing. And so I would encourage anybody who is an OLLI member and has not yet found a niche to serve as a volunteer to consider it, and join up with some other people who have similar interests and just want to help OLLI thrive. What could be better than a thriving OLLI for all of us and for this community?
Well said. Thank you. Thank you.
You're so
I think
welcome.
that kind of wraps up our time interviewing, but just anything else you'd like to add before we say goodbye?
No, I mean, I'm thankful to all of the people who I've interacted with at OLLI. There might be people watching this who have been my students, whether in a math class, in my harmonica class, in my class about the Holocaust. Um, every time somebody is in one of those classes, they are making a difference for their classmates. They're making a difference for me. They're adding to my joy as an OLLI instructor. And I'm one of those people who, when I teach an OLLI course online, I always say, please turn your cameras on. I want to see your faces. And so when people show up, whether it's online or they're in my class, they make a difference in my life. And so for anybody out there who has taken one of my classes, thank you for the difference you've made in helping me to have a wonderful experience. And for those of you who've never taken my classes, I hope that I'll see you in one sometime soon.
Well, I can vouch for the literature course about your mother's writing. It was fabulous and
Great.
very educational and informative.
Thank you. I
Well,
appreciate that.
thank you, Irv. I really appreciate your time.
You're
It's been
welcome.
fun and energetic, enthusiastic.
If anybody out there has a question about serving and just wants to pick my brain a little bit about, well, what was it like to serve on the curriculum committee? I'm happy to engage in conversation with anybody who might be curious.
How would you suggest they contact you?
They can reach me by email, my first initial I, my last name, Lubliner at gmail.com.
Beautiful.
All right.
I hope you hear from members.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Bye.
Bye.